party?
No, he was coming back from.
Yeah, I didn't get
So,
invited to the dinner.
good morning.
You got invited to a dinner party and you just didn't come.
Would you like to run?
I know how to run my mouth.
Well, I know you're good at that. Well, good morning. It's Thursday morning, March 27th. We got,
People. He's a
Did you
mark.
say
It's okay. It's all right. It's all the same.
I lost a whole month.
Right.
Well, I got, sometimes I lose a whole year. So I'm not that bad.
Right.
But anyways, and before we get on business, see, tomorrow will be, but next week we only meet, well, we meet Tuesday and Wednesday. But then starting Thursday, it's only for an hour or so, in case we have a bill that we have to conference on. That, so.
Do you know if the floor session's gonna change too?
You know, it's gonna start at 10 or 10:30, so. Do you-
10 is what I
10,
Okay.
so.
Starting Wednesday?
That's where the,
Thursday, I think.
So it was.
yeah, third
So
start.
Tuesday and Wednesday would be normal, and then Thursday and Friday. That's my understanding.
Sorry.
So, this morning, we got Steve and Michael in. I thought we ought to talk a little bit about the 6.9 million and make sure that that looks like it's gone pass. And make sure that there's no language that could give it a hiccup or process it at the agency that that could mess it up. And so I don't know, Michael, is there any language in there that would mess that up on, or Steve, either one of you, Steve, you can come over by Michael. And
So I don't want to speak for the agency, but Steve sent some revisions to clarify how the money, to clarify both eligibility and how the money would move if, for example, there was money left over at the end, where it would go, etc. I have actually drafted it.
so you want to run through that language and then so all we need to do is try to figure out how to get that in the bill. And I mentioned yesterday that I presume Richie will be on the committee to negotiate the differences, and so,
Nobody said anything to me.
well, nobody said anything to me, but usually we have a bipartisan committee conference, and you're the only hire in the room, so I would presume, unless you've done something really stupid, you would be the one that would be the
You knew, whatever.
have you done anything really
Well,
off the wall?
yeah, what part of my life were you asking? And when?
Any
Well-
selfies that we should know about?
Yeah.
No selfies.
There you go.
So, Michael, why don't you run through those changes and Steve, and then you can comment on them.
Sure. So I drafted the amendment as a strike all of the section, just because I thought it was easier for readability, but I can do it differently if you would like. How would you like me to walk through this? You want me to walk through the whole program and then note where the change would be, or do you just want to note?
Well, I
what the
see,
changes are?
you know, you guys on sections, C 114.
Yeah.
I think that would be adequate.
Okay. So this is the section in H 494 that creates the Dairy Farm Assistance Program. It's created at the agency, and farms are eligible if they were currently operating as a dairy farm producing milk. And then the language that is changing originally or initially is subdivision 2. Previously, it just had said the farm shipped organic milk through the end of calendar year 2022. And the agency has asked that it say the farm shipped organic milk or processed its own organic milk under the requirements of 6 USA Chapter 151 during calendar year 2022. So they might have not produced or shipped through the end of 2022, but they might have gone out of business or shifted from organic to conventional midway through 2022.
That part would, I mean, we talked about that and we expected those people. But if they stopped shipping and sold their animals,
Well, they're not then currently operating, so they wouldn't meet subdivision 1.
that would cover that.
Yeah.
If any of, you know, if you have any
Okay.
questions, go through this.
And then Steve made a clarifying amendment on line 14. It says, and the amount of organic milk shipped, because
Yeah.
it's for say they changed from organic to conventional. You want to be clear that this program is for the organic that they shipped or processed during calendar year 2022. And then they still have to be in good standing with the agency, and they still have to apply. That is not changing from the language that's in 494 right now. And in the first sentence on page 2 of subsection C, the only thing that's being changed is again on line 3. It's the organic milk shipped or sold by the organic dairy farm in calendar year 2022. And then the rest of that language is new, and it's really about how the agency is going to process applications, what they do if they run out of funds, and what happens if at the end of the process, the application process, if there are remaining funds available. So once agency of ag determines that applications are administratively complete, the agency shall process applications for payment in their order of receipt. So it's a first come, first serve, but you first have to have an administratively complete application. And then if all funds are appropriated for implementation are awarded, no further award shall be made. And if any funds appropriated for implementation remain after all timely applications are processed, the remaining funds shall be transferred to the Working Lands Enterprise Fund not later than December 31st, 2023, for distribution by the Working Lands Enterprise Fund. So really, the major changes that the agency is seeking is lines 4 through 12. And then clarify language in subdivision B2 on lines 11 through 15. And I can do it as a strike all of the section, or I can do it as a more tailored amendment, whatever.
Well, I think Richie, working on the conference committee, is it easier for you to like strike like section that number 2 and do a strike all with, so you pull number 2L, is there a number 2 in the bill itself?
Yes, there's a number 2 and there's a subsection C built on, but you still have third reading.
Yeah.
Right. Today.
Right.
You could do this at third reading as well.
I don't think Jane would appreciate that.
Well, we have appropriations at 11:30 this morning to hear amendments. If you took this to committee and you said to Jane at 11:30, we can either do this as an amendment or we can have you do it in the conference committee, let her decide.
Yeah, so why don't you get it geared up to do an amendment?
Well, this is
This is it.
it's been edited, everything.
Oh,
She may end up doing one big amendment because Chittenden brought an amendment to Ed yesterday that we approved. He's going down also, so and Jane's okay with that amendment.
I know there are other amendments.
Right, so at 11:30, I would just bring copies of this and say, and just ask her, how she'd like to
all
do
it
it.
is clarifying language, really, the substance of the provisions, not.
And it doesn't touch the 6.9,
No,
because that's in a separate section.
so we'll talk with Jane and see if we can do it as an amendment to the bill. It would be better to do it right along with the other amendments than having to fool with it in the conference.
Other piece, if you're going to do this, you need a one-word change in the fencing to change from grants to grant. And we add with this,
So there's a provision in Title I that says that you can interpret the plural to mean singular and the singular to mean plural.
I'm only telling you that the chair of this committee asked me to make sure that it was turned to grant instead of grants, and so there was no.
Oh, we could do
confusion.
that. I mean, do you have to leave the letter in and then it gets interpreted at the
Yeah.
tail end?
Yeah.
Can we determine that? It's really a typo.
I didn't know, honestly, I thought that there might be multiple grants.
I'm only asking
Right.
because it's been brought up to me.
But that's an easy amendment. You could probably even get the Bloomer to do that without doing anything.
Wait, you want to get that?
I'll draft it.
If you draft that and at 11:30, you can take that into,
Okay.
and is that all of the language change in the ag stuff that you're worried about? If you haven't heard anything else,
Not in the accent.
okay. Then that would clean up everything that you've got.
Yeah, it should be. And I thought I was gonna bump into Dave from the Health Committee this month. I haven't talked with him yet, because I want to go over this stuff with him so he can talk to his appropriations.
I'd like to talk to him too.
You, well, you can come with me, but you can't get me.
No, but I
You
might
catch a
come
lot
away.
more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Well, we put the honey in and he missed a lot of honey.
I know, poor guy.
So he
just
should be
getting vinegar.
quite happy with us.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you just help me understand on line 3 on page 2? It talks about the 100-weight of milk shipped or sold. I thought we were trying to include cheese makers. They may have only processed that milk, but not necessarily sold the cheese.
Well,
Is that anything
process
to worry
means,
about?
I would think process means manufacturing, say if they made butter or cheese.
Right, well, we said process
You
on
said
11, but
process
we
them,
didn't,
yeah.
we did say it on line 3 of page 2, and I'm just concerned that I want to be consistent, that if you're a cheese maker and you also had huge feed costs, you didn't necessarily ship or sell that cheese because it's still in your cage.
Yeah.
Is there a word we could put in 3 just to help those cheese makers or the butter makers or whoever who didn't necessarily ship? No.
I think maybe the issue is quantifying, right?
Steve Collier from the Agency of Agriculture, as we understood it, the intent of this was to get the milk producers, the farmers who are actually producing milk. There are about 6 to 8 farms who, instead of shipping their organic milk, they process it on site. So this suggestion was to incorporate those, there's 6, but it's sort of 8 because 2 ship milk and process their own. So if they're processing their own organic milk on site and selling it, it would capture them. I don't think this was meant to get processors of all dairy products. I think it was meant to encapsulate milk is our understanding of it. Because and that's what we based the estimate on was the milk producers. So
So the cheese guys are out.
well, the processors, I don't think they had the same. So there are some farms who also process different products, but a lot of the processors are not also farmers. And I'm not sure that the processors had the same feed challenges that the farmers did. So, right.
Okay,
Actually did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, I just wouldn't want somebody to be left out.
No, understood.
The processors are the ones making them. Because they didn't have to pay the.
No, I'm just looking for people who milk
Do it
and
themselves.
cave their
But
cheese.
they're in, right? You interpret this language so that the on-farm processors would be getting paid for the milk they produce.
Correct, who are either shipping their milk or processing their own milk and selling that milk. Yes. Yeah.
So are you guys at the agency in pretty good shape, getting this up and running?
Yeah, I think this language is, thank you for doing this, and this clarifies who's eligible and who's not, and also would address any leftover funds or if there's a shortage, so it's perfect from our perspective.
And what about, if you don't have enough money?
So that's one of the things that we requested, is that if we can't obviously provide grants if we don't have the funds, and we believe there will be sufficient funds. I mean, we calculated, we got information from all of the processors, and we've calculated the 6.9 million estimate is based on the 2022 production. So we believe that it will be accurate, but again, until all of the applications come in, you never know for certain. So
Line 7 takes care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If all funds appropriated are awarded, no further awards shall be made.
Yeah.
So if we run out of money, we don't have to provide any more grants, and we don't anticipate that, but we need that protection, please.
Well, you can't take it out of your general fund.
Well, maybe in lieu of
You
me.
must have some employees that you could lay off for a few months.
I think I'd be top on the list.
I don't know, we got too many lawyers in a room.
You should see us in a bar.
Arguing amongst themselves.
They don't argue. They just do a little act so they can run up the time to do it.
She's been in there. Well, I think then we're good to go.
Okay,
And,
so then I'll do the fence program change as well.
yeah, it's just
I'll go
that,
do that now.
it's just that one,
One word.
yeah. And the, And then, I wanted to, see if you could get this drafted up into, an amendment. You know, our type of amendment of the bottle bill, I think.
Oh, so strike the entire, you know,
Strike all.
and reinsert this. Sure.
Anything else from Michael or Steve? No, nothing else for us?
Michael, it may be that the other miscellaneous ag bill is on the floor Tuesday. You're going into finance today, I think, to walk through it.
Yeah,
So then it might be noticed tomorrow, action Tuesday.
yeah, and I don't know if the secretary is gonna send it to appropriations.
Okay. At some point, a section by section will be helpful.
Well, sure, I can send that to you right now.
Well,
Yeah.
take the weekend.
I've already had it.
There'll be some co-sponsors on there, on that.
The bottle bill.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I guess when you get done, I'll need a little sign sheet for you.
You need to send me who you want on it. Just email me. We don't need to do the sign on sheet for amendments.
Oh, it can't be.
I knew I was waiting. Wait, just give him a second. I was watching the second
You gotta earn your seat. Yeah, I'll get you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so, do you have anything else?
I did have a bit of an update to Senator Westman's question about the DMC program, if you wanted to talk about that now, just take a minute.
Yeah.
So the DMC program, we don't administer it, it's FSA obviously, but we reached out to FSA yesterday to find out what the payout was in 2022 to the farms, and also to see if they would give us an estimate for 2023, which I'm not super hopeful for, but we thought we'd try. We haven't heard back from them yet, but I knew that John Roberts, who's the local head of the FSA in Vermont, and Dan Smith, who Senator Starr knows well, had testified last week in House Ag. So I went back and listened to that this morning. And what they said essentially was, and part of this is from John Roberts and part of it's from Dan Smith, but John Roberts said that this year in 2023, 423 farms have enrolled in the program, which is up, which is higher, I think in part because of the premium incentive and also probably in part because of the projections, but 423 farms covering 2.12 billion pounds of milk in Vermont, which 2.12 billion. And we, in Vermont now, we have approximately 2.5 billion. So the vast majority of the milk supply is covered. Yeah. John Roberts estimated it at 75 to 80% of farms, but it's even a higher amount of the milk because it's,
Okay. Yeah.
So apparently the payment, and this was from
Total
Dan,
milk is 2.5.
approximately, yeah. And Dan Smith estimated that last year in 2022, it was basically break even. So the premium, this is average per farm, because obviously it varies by farm, how much milk you're covering and what specific level of coverage you buy. But the average premium is apparently about $5,000 per farm to buy the coverage, which is what the state is reimbursing through this program. And Dan Smith's estimate was that last year the payout was about equal to the premium. So it wasn't, particularly beneficial last year, but that's how programs work, right? You never,
It's an insurance program.
right, but this year, John Roberts testified that he believed that farmers would get a payout in about half of the months. He didn't quantify that payout, but he said that's what his estimate was, that they would get about a payout in about half. Dan Smith's estimate, and he was looking back at historical data and also current data, and he was likening it to 2021. And he felt that Vermont farms this year who were enrolled would would on average get about $60,000 per farm. So, economic projections are always a bit risky, but still, even if it was half of that, that would be a huge return on the $5,000 premium. But that he felt that there seemed to be consensus between
So the 60,000 per farm was for 2022 or 2023?
three this year. That's the estimate. We won't know, obviously. It's a month by month program, and But John did. I think I didn't quite understand what he said, but he said that this year already. I thought he said this year already they paid out 3.9 million in Vermont on the 2 farms, but he wasn't sure when the deadline was. So
Okay, well,
That
just
just,
60,000 per farm,
I thought
and it was $5,000 worth of coverage on each farm, covering that, and it's 423 farms.
Yeah.
That gives them a picture
Yeah.
of what this is. I don't need rocket science here. That's the base of the nugget, and if I need any more than that, I can come back to you guys and have you take it out.
correct.
But that gives people that don't deal with this every day a feel for how important it is.
so that little bit of money that we pay the premium with, will get multiplied many.
Yeah,
Right.
if I pay 5,000 a farm and they get 60, I'll take those odds almost every day.
And that's apparently what happened in 2021 was that there was a 1.2 billion payout across the country. And Dan Smith said the average per farm was 60 and Vermont was a little less than 60. But so there is some historical data to back that up. Yeah.
See, hopefully, we didn't have the payout for tier 1. I thought we had it specified it would be, we were promoting that tier 1, the 950 to maximize.
As I understand it, the state, this program that you've created only reimburses for tier 1, which is up to 950 for the spread and the dairy margin coverage. And farmers can enroll for that up to 5 million pounds of milk. So it's really geared toward the smaller farms to protect them. And John Roberts estimated that 5 million pounds would be about 225 to 250 conventional cows or about 300 organic cows.
So really all the small and medium, mostly even the medium guys, a lot of them will get reimbursed.
Right.
The big guys will get capped out at 5 million pounds.
Correct.
So the 400,000
Yes.
goes on top of what have we already budgeted for premium?
Correct. 2 years ago, the legislature appropriated, I think it was about 2.5 or 2.6, I think. But you appropriated enough for the next 2 years, and it covered last year entirely. It didn't cover all of this year. This year, there's about 1.5 million.
Because 5,000 a farm, 423 farms, that's about 2.1 million. So I'm just trying to.
Sure. Well, keep in mind that's an average, and I think that's for farms who are capping out. So smaller farms, if you only have 50 cows, 100 cows, 125 cows, you're not paying the full 5,000 or getting the full.
So 2 years ago, we did 2.5 million. We didn't do anything last year?
Two years ago, there was an appropriation for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I got.
So this year for 2023, the total cost to enroll all the 423 farms was just under 1.5 million. And so you had appropriated about 1.1, let's say, that was left over total for this year, and that's what the 415 is covering.
Add up to
Right. And I think our estimate for the next, if you want to do it for the next 2 years, I think it's about 1.6 a year, about 3.2. But
It gets hard because the House has no position on this, and we're top dog on this, so it's hard to go above a number in a conference committee when the other side has nothing.
But we should be good, and see, this puts us through December 31st.
Right.
Well, then we're back in January, we'll do the supplemental budget. So, and they won't have a sign up again, and if the program gets extended, it'll be next year. And we can always put some money in the supplemental budget next winter to cover signups, if the numbers still are tracking good. So you guys, you want to kind of keep tabs on the dollars, so.
Yeah.
Because if you go into folks and say, look, you give us $2 or $1.5 million, it'll generate
Right.
$50 million in the state.
Right.
You know, it's like on the transportation, we gotta put in 20 million to get 80 from the feds. Well, you know, it's a pretty good shot of money for just bellying up your little portion. This is even better than, way better than that.
Senator Westman, one thing that might help you in these negotiations is that when farmers enrolled last year, they knew that the state was going to refund them. They didn't get a promise that they would be fully refunded, but the numbers are up, we believe, in part because this program was created, but it wasn't fully funded. So just in a fairness and equity issue, we had farmers enrolling, believing they were going to get reimbursed, but there wasn't enough money to cover that for everyone.
Yep.
So
Now, Ken, I know that a couple of weeks ago, you guys were pretty near out of money. And once the budget passes, are you gonna keep, is there money anywhere that you keep using out of this year's, like carry forward or anything like that, that where you could use that money to pay them off this spring before you get your new money in July?
that's a great question that I don't know the answer to, and I'm not sure we could do it that way, but I'm not sure that we couldn't either. I know that we have, the farmers have already paid the premiums, the ones that are enrolled, and now we're reimbursing them. And so I don't know whether we'd have to wait.
They
until-
have to pay it before you get the
Correct.
bill.
Correct. And I don't know whether we have to wait until July 1 to start sending the money out. I know it's an ongoing process and we are about out. So we may be able to do that, and I can try to find out, but I know we're processing them as quickly as we
We're
get them.
talking 6 weeks, really, right?
It'd be 2 months right
July
now,
1.
about, yeah.
7, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's always a drag to get the money to the agency.
Just so I have it, not that you're gonna get it, but you said to do next year was 1.5.
We believe that it's about 1.6 next year for each of the next 2 years. So if you wanted to fund 2 years, we think it'd be about 3.2.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to throw it, it's 1.6 a year to go forward, but with no position in the House, that gets. a little-
Understood. Yeah.
See, we'll have, like January, when we come back, we'll have a good idea of the predictions for next year. So then, we'll have to calculate that out.
Right.
And, but, we've done the READY program that we set up over at VHCB. We said, well, give us one person, the cost of one person, and we think we'll do much better than what it's gonna cost us for that shit. Now we got 3 people.
Yeah.
And the income is up like $10 to $12 million a year from what they go after grants that are left sitting on the
Yeah.
table.
That's great.
And, one day Brady was in the ag room and he was working for USDA at that point. said, you know, it's really bad that we have all this money sitting on the table and it goes back to Washington and then they disperse it out. We set that little program up, and when I went to approach with sitting there on the committee anyway, Jane said, well, we'll give you 1 year tryout on that, because that, you know, it was like 80 or 100,000 for an individual.
Yeah.
And Gus come back the next year and it generated like $1.5 million to $2 million. Yeah.
It's a nice return.
So it's helped a lot of, you know, it's all set up for communities under 5,000. So,
Oh, that's
you
great.
know, most every community can take advantage of that. But anyways, well, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks so much for
coming over.
Thank you for addressing
Hopefully
this.
we'll make those changes, so it'll be better for you and the people.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Transportation envelope for the budget.
I think we're gonna pass over.
Okay. Great.
So anyway, I guess,
I see that the contents of H205 ended up in the budget bill on page 63. So does that mean I won't be reporting on them on the floor because it's wrapped up in the budget?
I think you still gotta report it.
Oh,
The
okay.
the money has already been appropriated.
Right.
So they,
So that'll be announced separately.
well, Jane did it yesterday when she reported the bill. So you're
We did
just,
strip the money out of it.
Is the policy language in there?
Yeah.
Policy language. is in
You
there.
have to have the language, so.
So if policy language, we did that with the couple things on ours.
yeah, you just report the bill, I guess, is,
I don't think we put our school construction stuff in it and Jane said it's in. So the bill is moving with the budget.
Anyway, just a thought.
One, yeah, because then we put the language in there also, so it's not just the money, it's also the
see,
policy.
we did
language.
just the money.
We did
Right,
just
okay,
the money.
yeah, so that's
So,
different,
one-
yeah.
So you need to report the bill.
There is language on page 63 that talks about program applicants shall be blah, 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 grants shall be used for, I mean, it does.
We might ask Mike if there's a difference between what's in the budget and what's in the bill.
Maybe we ought to run up and ask Michael.
Or maybe, yeah, it's a question for Jane and Alexa, I don't know. Yes, but it's
Right,
saying
right.
the budget H205 on one of those lines where it had that.
Here, probably. Unless, are we adjourned or?
I don't know, because see, we've set millions of dollars to
Right.
report the bill, take the money out and
Right.
pass the bill. But in our case, the bill never went there. And so it never got, the whole bill never got all of it. So,
See, when we passed the school construction bill out of here with the money in it, Jane said, let me just put the money and the language in the bill. And I said, sure, that way we know it's gonna be in. It was a priority for the committee at 200,000. Kind of guaranteed it.
did you pull a budget bill up?
Yeah,
What's it say?
it says in fiscal year 2024, $150,000 general fund is appropriated to the Agency of Ag Markets for the Small Farm Diversification and Transition Program. Agency staff who support the Working Lands Enterprise Board shall administer the program and provide small farmers in Vermont with state financial assistance in the form of grants. And then it talks about what the program applicant should be, and what the grant should be used for. So that's the essence of the life that I was gonna
It is.
report on. So I'm okay with not reporting on it, but I just wanted to let you know that, I thought I was going through this process like Brian's goals, going through the process of we were going to report, right?
Yeah, is
But
it
that's
on
okay.
the calendar?
No, it's not. So that explains to me why it might not be on the calendar because all that language just got
Is it in,
put in the bill.
we didn't vote that bill out of appropriations.
Remember, yeah.
We loaded
Just
everything.
so you want, you
So
know,
if
if
the
you want to
bill,
know about reporting it.
you only need to report it if it shows up on the calendar.
Right,
If it
exactly.
stays on the wall in appropriations, then, you don't report it.
But we never sent Jane,
The bill never left you.
no, it did.
The bill
leave
left
it,
here, but
And it stopped down there and we took the money and put it in. That's right.
So it's hanging on our wall.
Yeah, sorry. And Jane reported it, so.
that's fine. Whatever. I just want to let you know why. I think I won't be reporting. It's all good.
You're learning, Irene.
It's all
You're
good,
learning.
right?
Well, that's kind of too bad. You
I
probably
know.
did
Well,
quite a
maybe
lot
next
of
year.
work.
Maybe next year I can report on the bill.
Well, you could do the other one if you want. Richie wanted to, I had to
I
really
know
fight.
one,
Yes,
I
it
know
is.
one you could do if you want to do it. The
The
hemp,
lotto bill.
the hemp bill,
The hemp bill.
yeah, we did the hemp language.
Yeah,
Well, Allison's gonna load that in, the bill over in, coming off,
Oh, we got that.
economic development. And she would like somebody from our committee to report the 2 or 3 sections.
Ken,
that-
Ken.
yeah, that's fine. I can
So
do that.
I'll have Michael do you up
That
a
would be great.
poop sheet on that.
And hopefully it won't be in vain this time. But yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
Sure.
and then
Yeah, I'm fine.
that's a pretty straight, those things.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but it'll come right back to me, I'm sure.
Was to enhance the small growers so they could.
So they can
grow
farm
a
stuff.
little bit more.
Right, right.
And, so,
Give them the farm protection, so that the one.
Yep.
That's the bill. Yeah, I know all of this. Okay. Yeah,
and,
sure. Let me know.
and,
So you can say you did something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, all those other freshmen have been doing the bill.
yeah, right.
And
Um,
we don't want to shortchange you. I don't know how that happened. I'm glad we got you and not some of those others.
Well, I do a correction to make, because you called me young the other day and I pushed back, but it was only because I know there's someone younger on the committee.
I'm younger.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I am.
But you're more senior here.
I don't know if I am.
Are you using that stuff to?
Color is beer,
Yeah, right.
Grabbing pass.
yeah.
That's right.
Well, we'll let Brian, if he's got all this other stuff done, we'll let him do that. Ingrid put that. That was shaping. And Ray will say, I should have kept him. on my committee." Okay, is there anything else? I think we're good to go, and so I'll